Hey everyone, I'd like to show you how to use Excel to complete your project. This is the data that I decided to work with. If you notice, this data has categories that have multiple levels. For instance, job security is good, has 4 levels, and how often job interferes with family life also has 4 levels. But for the sake of binomial distribution, we're gonna have to make this or convert this table into a 2 by 2 table. And that can be done by combining some of the cells of the original table. For instance, for job security is good, you can think of very true and somewhat true as just yes, and not true, not at all true as just no for job security is good. Uh, Same thing can be done for how often job interferes with family life. Think of often and sometimes as just often, or just call it yes, and rarely or never as just no. Now, when you downloaded your data, you ended up with this row that has n in it. N is the sum of each column, but we don't need this row, so just gonna select it and delete it. We'll find n later for our new table. Now you need to tell Excel what to do with these 4 cells and how to add them up. Go down to the cell yes, yes, and type in equal the word sum, open parenthesis. Now go to this cell, that the cells that you're trying to add, and click on the corner cell, in this case 235. Once you click on it, the border of that cell starts flickering. Hold down the mouse and drag over the 4 cells which you're trying to add. Release the mouse and hit enter. Do the same thing for the next 4 cells that corresponds to no, yes. Go to the cell that corresponds to no, yes, select it, type in equal sum, open parenthesis. Now you're going to select the 4 cells you're trying to add. We have the sum of the 4 cells, which is 242. Do the same thing for yes, no, and no, no. Now, as you see, we have a contingency table, or we call it a 2 by 2 table. And we can use the methods that we learned to analyze this 2 by 2 categorical. Now that you have your contingency table, you're gonna have to find the column sums and the row sums. I am going to go down here and click on cell B15 and label it as column sum. Next to it, you're going to have to find the sum for the column that corresponds to yes on job security is good. In that cell, type in equals sum, open parenthesis, and select the column. Press enter. 2,943 is the sum of the column yes. Now you don't have to do the same thing for column no. You can just click on the cell and move the cursor to the corner of that cell until the plus sign becomes or converts to a filled in plus sign. Hold down the mouse and drag that cell over to the next cell. Excel automatically applies the same function to the second column. Also find the row totals. So I'll type in row sum, or you could just call it row total. Apply the sum function again, but this time to each row. And just like before, you can drag that function down so that Excel can apply the sum to the second row. And finally, to get the grand total, you can type in sum and drag over the 4 squares. 3,453 is basically the total number of those who have taken the survey. Note that you can also add these row totals, or you can add the column totals to find the grand total. As your analysis, you're going to compare two proportions, and we're ultimately going to test the hypothesis and see if believing that job interference with family life depends on if job security is good or not. And remember that we put the independent variable into columns, and what we think is the dependent variable into rows. And the proportion that we're trying to find is the proportion of those who think that job interferes with family life for two groups. The groups who say that job security is good, and the group that say that job security is not good. Okay, so I'm gonna go down here and type in proportion of those who think job interferes with family life, and we do this for yes on those who say job security is good and those who say job security is not good. Now, to find each percentage, you can go to the corresponding cell and type in equal to, so we're going to take this number, the number of those who say job interferes with family life and who think job security is good. Just click, you could either type in 1169 in the cell or just click on the cell and then slash or divide by n, or the number of those who think job security is good. Hit enter. That proportion is 39.7%, And to get the same, or to get the proportion for the next group, you can just drag the cell over, and the same operation is going to be applied to the second group. So if I just double click on that cell, it says D13 divided by D15, and that blue color corresponds to this cell, and that green color corresponds to this cell right here.